Welcome back, everyone. So now that we've typed out all of the appropriate actions, let's import them in so that we can utilize them inside of our reducer. Now, we don't necessarily need all of them because our reducer only responds to sign in failed, sign up failed, as well as sign out failed. And then we have sign out success. And we also have sign in success. So these are the 5 actions that our reducer responds to. We know that our action needs to be of the any action type. So we'll import in any action from Redux. And here we can just cast it like so. We also want to type out our initial state, so our user state, which is going to be current user, which is some user data. And user data, of course, comes from our Firebase utils. But it's going to be user data or it's going to be null, because both are valid states that we can receive as well as our initialization state as well. Is loading is going to be a Boolean, and error is going to be of type error or null. Now, as mentioned, these are read-only. So let's make sure to make these also read-only. I may have missed this actually inside of our previous reducer for the cart. So if I did, we'll go back, we'll update them later. But here, inside of this reducer, we're going to get rid of this destructure. And then we're also going to cast the initial state to be one of the user state. And then it's just a matter of doing the correct switches. So first, we're going to say sign in success dot match our action. Then we are going to return the current state with action.payload like so. Similarly, if sign out success dot match with the action, we will return with current user set to null. And now for these 3, sign out failed, sign in failed, and sign up failed. How are we going to write this? Well, this we're going to match with just a bunch of OR statements. So we'll say if sign in failed dot match on this action, or sign up failed dot match on this action, or sign out failed dot match on this action. If any of these match, then we are going to just spread this through past the payload because it's going to be an error. And then it's just a matter of keeping the return state as the default fallback. And that's it. This is now our user reducer. So the last thing to type is the user selector. So of course, as we can see from our selector, here this is just pulling off the user.currentUser. We can actually even improve upon this by importing the create selector from reselect. We can import in user state from our new definition, and we'll export const select user reducer, which is equal to something that gets us the root state. And we're going to return back user state. And we're just going to pluck off that state value. And select current user here is just going to be a new selector that is going to not receive that object. Instead, we're going to say select user reducer. And what we'll get back is the user state, upon which we will pluck off the current user, like so. Create selector, I spelled it wrong. There we go. And now here, this is not in a TypeScript file, so let me quickly remedy that. But there we go. Again, we know that we have not typed state, But at the very least, we have now modified our user selector so that essentially we have this entry point into the user slice, and then we create a selector to pluck off the current user. So earlier we didn't have that, but now we do. And there we go. We have typed out the majority of this user store file. So very quickly, let me remedy that issue that I mentioned where inside of our cart reducer type definition, I did not make these read-only as I should have. So that is also done now. And we make them read-only, of course, because we just want to say, hey, these values will never update. This state value should not be mutable. It should only update if you return a new object. So this just prevents anybody from coming in here and modifying it like so, saying state dot, for example, state dot is cart open, like this, is equal to false. You'll notice that it throws an error. This assignment cannot be done because it is read-only. So that's why we do this, because it really enforces that pattern that we want these states to be completely immutable. So now that we have typed out all of these reducers, we can finally now address this type issue where this state is not typed out. And that's what we're going to do in the next video, where we will finally start typing out the last touches inside of Redux. So we're going to type out our stores, and then we're going to type out some of our middlewares. And even after that, we'll type out our sagas. So join me in the next video where we'll tackle those topics together. I'll see you in the next video.